All right, let's talk about email and other forms of communication for negotiating. The book does a really good job of talking about this, so I'm going to keep this mercifully short. And when I say that, I literally mean probably 5 minutes or so. So this will be probably the shortest lecture you'll have from me. Okay, let me give you a rule, and I rarely do I do this, but this is one of those nevers, right? Don't use text messaging, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. Some of you are old enough that you're not really hooked into those things, but many of the rest of you are young enough that you are. Just stay away from any of those technologies as a means of negotiating. The reason being is that they are not designed to communicate in a detailed way, right? I mean, and we all know that. Twitter only gives you 140 characters, so you have very limited space. Snapchat, as I understand it, I don't use it, so I don't know for sure, but as I understand it, once you send it, the message, the person looks at it and then it goes away. Well, that's no good. It's not helpful. Instagram, I don't know, and again, I don't know a lot about Instagram, but my sense is that it's not designed for something as important as negotiating. If it were me, I'm just talking for me. The same with texting, text messaging. Unless you're texting a document, unless you are attaching a document, which I know you can do with text messaging, I would really stay away from that as well. Again, you have limited space. Often it's not as easy to type up. Using your thumbs, you're twittering, texting with your thumbs, and it just and we use all kinds of abbreviations with text messaging that we don't normally use, and you might just out of sheer repetitiveness, you might text in things that really just they look unprofessional and they just really don't convey the full message as they ought. You are capital U R. I mean, my 17-year-old son, texts that to me all the time, and it took me forever to figure out what that meant. And I know I'm crusty and I'm old, and I get that, but still, it took me a little while. What are you talking about? See, I still text in full sentences for the most part. And I know it's pathetic, but that's what I do. And I do it because I just can't get into the mode of sending these short. Now, I will send okie dokie or thanks or something like that occasionally, but for me, for the most part, it's actually a full sentence. All right, so let me talk about email. So just wipe all those out of your negotiating lexicon, okay? Just stay away from them. I would just say stay away from them completely. Don't even go there unless it's just the most. It's got to be the simplest, most unsophisticated possible message, such as "Please call me" or something like that. Otherwise, I would not communicate anything of substance with those media. Okay, nothing. Again, that's me. You're gonna, people do what they want. I'm just saying those media really don't provide the kind of ability, let's say, to fully communicate effectively when you're negotiating, especially if the substance of the negotiation is sophisticated or long. Email, on the other hand, it is ubiquitous, and so you have to negotiate via email. You don't have any choice. I would treat email as if it were a normal letter. That is, treat emails as if you were going to send out a letter on a piece of paper. Just write it that way. In other words, "Dear Mr. Smith," and in the subject line of the email, make a note of what you are talking about. Okay, specifically tell the person who you're writing to, tell them that what you are trying to email them about. Give them a specific. And then write a letter. "Dear Mr. Smith," we're the Jones negotiation. "Dear Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones rejects your offer of blank. Here are the 3 reasons why, A, B, C. Here is what Mr. Smith will suggest otherwise. 1, 2, 3. Please let me know at your earliest convenience whether you can accept these terms or whether you have suggested alternatives or something along those lines. And write it out. The book does a really good job of describing a lot of notions about what you should do with email, so I'm not going to rehash them here. That's pretty much all I want to say about it. Like I said, I've kept it down here to just a few minutes. Last thing I would point out about email, don't use the little emoticons or whatever they're called, the happy face, the sad face, little smoochy things, whatever. That's great when you're sending an email to someone you know. That's great when you're sending it to your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever the case may be. Those are all wonderful. They work. I would also and I think the book mentions this, but it bears repeating, stay away from humor, because it's hard oftentimes without seeing someone's facial expression or their hands or whatever the subject they're using. Sometimes people have, they say something, but the context, the actual physical context explains the humor, whereas maybe when you just write it, it doesn't. I would really just stay away from that. Just tell people what they need to know in terms of the substance of the negotiation, and leave it at that. That's it for email negotiations. I don't have anything else to say about it. I told you I'd keep it short and sweet, so go forth. I hope you enjoyed the brief Memorial Day respite and are ready to fire away. Take care.